Those curtains. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar Tata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar Tata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. How's it start? Narayana? How's it go? Narayana Namaskrityam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadhiriyet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Praresha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktim Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord who is glorified in transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 23rd day of February, 2026 in San Diego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 9, Liberation. Chapter 13, The Dynasty of Mahārāja Nimi. Text number 12. Arajaka, Bhayam, Nrinam, Manyamana, Maharshiyah, Deham, Mamantu, Sma, Nime Kumara Samajayata Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata. Anyone else? Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumara Smajayate. Go ahead. Arajakabayang Nrinam Manyamana Maharshiyah Deham Mamantu Smanime Kumarak Samajayata. Anyone online want to chant? It's not. Arajakabayam. Due to fear of the danger of an unregulated government. Nrinam. For the people in general. Manyamana. Considering this situation. Mahārāja. The great sages. Deham. The body. Mamantu. Churned. Sma. In the past. Nimehe. Of Mahārāja Nimi. Kumaraha. One son. Samajayata. Was thus born. Translation. Thereafter, to save the people from the danger of an unregulated government, the sages churned Mahārāja Nimi's material body, from which, as a result, a son was born. Purport. Arajakabayam. If the government is unsteady and unregulated, there is a danger of fear for the people. So that's what bayam, fear of no king. At the present moment, this danger always exists because of government by the people. Here we can see that the great sages got a son from Nimi's material body to guide the citizens properly. For such guidance is the duty of a Kshatriya king. A Kshatriya is one who saves the citizens from being injured. In the so-called people's government, there is no trained Kshatriya king. As soon as someone strong accumulates votes, he becomes the minister of or president. The prime minister or president, that should probably be. I think that's what Prabhupada meant there. He becomes the prime minister or president without training from the learned Brahmins expert in the Shastras. Indeed, we see that in some countries the government changes from party to party, and therefore the men in charge of the government are more eager to protect their position than to see that the citizens are happy. Sounds like a headline from today's news. The Vedic civilization prefers monarchy. People like the government of Lord Ramachandra, the government of Mahārāja Yudhisthira, and the governments of Mahārāja Pariksit, Mahārāja Ambarish, and Mahārāja Prahlad. There are many instances of excellent government under a monarch. Gradually, the democratic government is becoming unfit for the needs of the people, and therefore some parties are trying to elect a dictator. A dictatorship is the same as a monarchy, but without a trained leader. Actually, people will be happy when a trained leader, whether a monarch or a dictator, takes control of the government and rules the people according to the standard regulations of the authorized scriptures. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So it's worth remembering that one of the main reasons that Krishna came is to protect the devotees. Right? He says, Paratanaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkratam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to protect the devotees, which is his primary interest, and to destroy the miscreants, and to reestablish Dharma in the world. Krishna appears again and again. And we see that the whole purpose of the Battle of Kurukshetra was to finally establish Yudhisthira on the throne without any danger of what happened that would cheat. He was cheated out of it before, you know. In other words, Krishna made sure that there was no countervailing force after that battle. So this is one of Krishna's concerns. Now why? Because he's concerned for the welfare of all his praja, including the conditioned souls who are suffering in the material world. And we have so much evidence in the Bhagavatam of the importance of a king being a great devotee, a real devotee of the Lord, or the Lord himself, as in the case of Ramachandra. We just had that example. Because such a king is trained. That's the whole point. They're trained in the principles of good governance. And not only that, but in spiritual principles. Because if the king or the leader of is simply a materialist, total materialist, then you have what we have today, where you have people who are one way or another get to the top of the control, and they grab the control of a country, and then they try to exploit it for their own benefit, for money or for honor or for whatever, you see. It's completely corrupt, and the people just suffer like anything, you see. And so that's the whole point. Prabhupada several times made the point that Krishna consciousness is trying to reestablish varnashram. Now, at certain places he mentioned that it's impossible, but still, it's essential for actually spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world and having it be the guiding principle for the governance of the world. And that requires, that's built on training, right? You have 4 spiritual ashrams, and you have 4 social orders. And the social orders are meant to be populated by those who go through the spiritual training as well. So, and we have, what is the purpose of that? We find that in right near the beginning of the Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, one of the verses describes that those who are practicing their role in the varnashram nicely, the perfection is that it's all done for the pleasure of the Lord. Haritoshanam, right? I forget how the word starts. You remember it? Anyway, it's the discussion of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What is real dharma, right? Savai pungsang pado dharma yato bhakti ratokshi. And the answer is very succinctly that dharma is real dharma, which engenders bhakti in the people. So savai pungsang pado dharma yato bhakti ratokshi. From which bhakti is infused into the people in large and the people who practice it. And so he goes on, and ultimately it comes down to the point of accepting a spiritual master and being purified and getting a taste for hearing about Krishna. Shushusho Shadadhanasa Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vibra Punyatirthana Shevana. This word Shushusho is a variation of different words, which means to ardently hear. Prabhupada gave the various definitions. Submissive all reception, which is a very telling phrase. In other words, you're paying attention and you're taking in the words and instruction, and you're imbibing it and trying to live those words in your life. That's really what it means. So how does one get the taste for hearing? That's the key. And it turns out the taste for hearing comes from faithfully serving the spiritual master. Shushisho, that's the taste for hearing. Shushisho Shradhanasa, with faith. Vasudeva Kataruchi, Syan. Syan means comes into being. That taste for hearing Vasudeva Kata or Krishna Kata. Mahat Sevaya. Who is the Mahat? Mahatma, the pure devotee. The Brahmins as a class, and especially the realized Acharya. Mahat Sevaya Vipra, he's addressing the sages there in Naimisharanya. Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Such souls who are themselves walking places of pilgrimage. Because wherever they go, they create the spiritual atmosphere, and they often plant the seeds, as Prabhupada did, where it will go on even after he's gone, with the books and everything in the temples. So that's how we get that taste, and from that taste comes a purification. Shinvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Riddindaksto Yabadani Vidunoti Suritsatam. This is an often quoted verse. This is the actual heart of that pamphlet, millions of pamphlets we handed, the Reservoir of Pleasure, Krishna, the Reservoir of Pleasure. The main part of that pamphlet is a edited version of a talk Prabhupada gave on this verse, Shinvatam Sukata Krishna, which means that Krishna being in our heart, when he understands that someone is hearing about him properly from the right source, you see, Punya Shravana Kirtana, becoming pious by hearing and chanting. Ridyandaksto, situated in the heart, Krishna is there. Abhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. He cleanses away the abhadras, all of the illusions and the material desires. Abhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Vidunoti literally means to cleanse. Because he's the best friend of the devotees, of the pure devotees. Abhadrani vidunoti surit. Very important word. Prabhupada actually signed his letter in the English equivalent, all the letters. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He never said His Divine Grace, he never said Prabhupada, just A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Very humble. But that's really so heartwarming. He's our ever well-wisher. And so, because he's representing Krishna, who identifies himself as the Surit. Last verse, 5th chapter, the peace formula. Bhoktaram, Yagitapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, Gyatpamam Shantim Richati. How can we really attain peace? So Krishna, well, one has to accept this about me, one who knows this, that I am the true enjoyer of all sacrifices and penances in this world. Bhoktaram, Yagitapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, I am the supreme lord of the whole, all the lokas, all the planets. And then the most endearing phrase, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the Surit, the ever well-wisher of every living entity, not even just human beings. Every living entity, he's there as super soul in the heart of the ant, right? Guiding them in the instinct to do their thing and gradually, come up. And then human beings especially, who have the intelligence to really understand and transform. He's always giving instruction from within. But we're so covered by material energy and modes that we're not hearing him. So he takes the trouble to come outside as an incarnation such as Krishna, to preach the Bhagavad Gita, leave the Shastra, which then is also a manifestation of Krishna, to guide us, and empower the succession of acharyas and spiritual masters to guide us. So all of that is Krishna's effort in order to help us and to help the whole society. He especially wants the leader of society to be pure devotees and to follow him. And that's why he was so concerned that the Pandavas would finally win the kingdom, and Yudhishthira would be enthroned because he was son of Dharma. You know, he's obviously. So that's what's going on here. And Prabhupada is talking about, you know, that the monarch is really is also a dictator. But the difference is that the dictators, you know, modern dictators, they're not trained to be, you know, devotees of the Lord and have concern. They're simply whoever can manipulate the levers of power and bribes and whatever it is, you know, and arresting and murder and everything. This is a dictatorship. Tyrants, in order to get power. Why? Oh, you know, I can enjoy everything. And just having power is an intoxicant, you know. So unfortunately, we find more and more of that in today's world. But the countervailing force, and the only one that can be effective, is the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also came for that. We're coming up now on this most auspicious Gaur Purnima on Monday. And I was doing a little research because I was asked to speak. And I'm probably going to bring up this very important point. Why did Lord Chaitanya appear? For two reasons. Two reasons, right? One was the internal reason, probably something that's the real reason, but the internal reason, which was to satisfy or fulfill three desires which he could not fulfill as Krishna. And it says, Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kīrdasho Vanayaiva Svadyo Yenad Buddhamadudima Kīrdasho Vamadhiya Saukyam Chasa Monanabhavata Kīrdasham Vetyalobha Tadbhavaja Samajanisha Chi Garba Sindho Herindu. This is from the one of the Mangala Charn verses from the CC, right at the beginning. First 14 verses set forth what's the book about, give some blessings, also some prayers, and like that. So a very important verse, just right near the beginning of the book. So Krishna is speaking actually, and he's defining why he's going to appear as Lord Chaitanya, why he appears. So Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima, the glory of Srimati Radharani's love for him, you see? He can't really experience that from his point of view. He wants to experience from her point of view, what the feeling is and what it's Kīdrusho Vanaya. Asvadyo Yenad Buddha, and he wants to taste his own qualities, his own pastimes, from her point of view. In other words, she's the one who relishes his beauty and his pastimes more than anyone, including himself. So how can he taste it? He has to appear in her mood. And finally, he wants to experience what she's feeling when she experiences his love for her. He can't experience that from his point of view. He has to experience from her point of view. So with all of these reasons, he appeared like the moon appeared from the ocean. He came from the ocean of the womb of Shachi Devi. It says very, you know, metaphorically. So that's the internal reason. Now the external reason is to save us. That's also there. And Arpita Charim Chadat Karunayabati Nakalo. These are all verses I remember when the CC started coming out. I said, oh, I got to memorize that one. So an Arpita Charim Chadat means not given before. He came to give what hadn't been given. All the other avatars, including Krishna himself. Karunayabati, out of his mercy he appeared. And Karunayabati Kalo, in the age of Kali. Samabhitam Unnato Dvadarasam Sabhakti Shriyam. His glorious mood that Lord Chaitanya showed of the conjugal rasa in relation to Krishna that had never been detailed, given before in detail. So may that golden avatar be forever situated in your heart. May you ever remember him. You know, it's a very nice verse, benediction verse. So those are the two reasons. The internal reason, which Krishna, you know, to fulfill his own desires, he had to appear as Radharani to experience those three things. But externally, you know, in order to spread Krishna consciousness and save everybody, you know, with Kali Yuga is in full swing. And so how? By spreading the easiest process of devotion, Harinam Sankirtan. No hard and fast rules, anyone can participate. It immediately starts cleansing the heart, and if you follow it nicely and follow under the guidance of, you know, acharyas, then whoever sincerely can go back to God. It can completely negate all of the evil influence of this age, and as we get a spiritual body. Now that's in this context. You know, this Mahārāja Nimi, you know, he got into a whole thing with Vasishta, you know, and he got cursed, would lose his body. So then the demigods repealed, well, you know, can you bring him back to life? But Nimi somehow was able to communicate. He said, no, I don't want a material body, you know, like that. So, okay, so they gave him a spiritual body, what that means. Well, spiritual body means that as they describe it, he was in an intimate relationship with Krishna in the spiritual body. But the physical body was still there. And so they needed to have his descendant who would help rule. So they churned his arms, like they did with King Vena. And Vena was churned, and the Prithu and Archie, I think, came out, you know, and that was very important. So similarly, they did that, and out came Janaka. Now, I was puzzled. This seems to be the same Janaka in the introduction, probably. This is the great sage Janaka, who's a Mahajan, right? But he's the father of Sita. I mean, we're way down, the descendants coming down from Ram, right? Ikshvaku, like this. So I don't know exactly how that computes. But anyway, this King Janaka was born. And as we'll read in future verses here, he was known as King Mithila, came and constructed the city as King Mithila, and the city was called Mithila. I think it's that same Janaka, but how he's the father of Sita, who was the wife of Ram, who was many generations back. Someone has to research that. I didn't have time to how that works. But the main point that Prabhupada makes in this purport that we read is how society can actually be run properly. Because it's way, this Kali Yuga is just manifesting. So much suffering going on in certain places, you know. And this whole, I'm curious, maybe some of you can give me your ideas in this. One of the main things that's going on that is causing suffering is the change in the climate. Who can deny it, you know? There's huge storms, blizzards happening in New York. And even here, it's unseasonably cold. I mean, I don't remember if it's cold under 50 to go to Mangalartik. But anyway, it's obviously changing. Is that Adibhautik or is it Adidaivic? Huh? Adidaivic? But it's ultimately caused by human beings. Anthropogenic climate change. Anyway, it's clearly way out of line. No, I'm just curious. I'm asking because it seems to be both.
Do you think there's a Shastric argument that climate change is actually Adibhautik and not Adidaivic?
I don't think it's a Shastric thing. I think it's just science. We don't trust science.
It's quite a claim, though.
You don't think it has anything to do with what we're doing, burning all these fossil fuels? Well, you could probably get a place in the cabinet.
I think it's quite a claim to argue that, or to state that climate change, or any natural disaster is not Adidaivic.
Hare Krishna.
I think that's a fair argument, right?
I'm sorry?
I think that's a fair argument, right? Worth not laughing off.
Well, I mean, you don't think there's any way of that we can, accept the idea that what's the proximate cause of it is all of this carbon dioxide and methane that's going into the air due to the artificial, society.
If what we read on CNN or anywhere else leads us to question whether it's Adidaivic, that it's really coming from the Devas, I do think that's concerning. Unless I'm just missing the point.
Well, I don't think it's one or the other. I think we could make the argument that Devas, are in charge of overseeing just how this effect is going to happen. I mean, I think that it's. I don't think it has to be one or the other. That just the Deva decides, well, I think I should throw a storm down there. Of course, Indra did that, but.
What qualifies as an Adidaivic misery in this case, then?
Well, something that obviously a big storm of frozen things or forest fires that happen.
So then when these things happen, if we just attribute them, if we don't attribute them as adidivic miseries, then is there anything missing there? If when there's a forest fire, we just attribute it to humans, or just like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Probably you could reconcile that by saying, okay, because Prabhupada would always say, well, no one goes into the forest to start a fire, but it starts somehow with some spark or whatever, or a meteor. But there are crazy people who go in and start forest fires.
Yeah.
So the question is, well, is it not now adidivic because?
Yeah, if you want to talk about something like that, like a fire that could be started by arson, but let's say if you're talking about hurricanes and so on, you don't think that's a different category? At least it seems that following this logic, we could just do away with the adidivic category and just say it's all global warming, it's all just human beings, it's all adibautic. No?
What does global warming claim? Does it claim, I haven't studied it, does it claim hurricane is also global warming?
Yeah.
Everything?
Yeah.
Everything that's going wrong is from that?
Yeah, like when something happens, it's always attributed, it's always a global warming topic. And I guess maybe the main elephant in the room is and not just me, not that I just think I should hijack the class just to talk about my own opinion, but many people do find it concerning just to give so much CNN commentary on these things. I mean, and like almost like we're becoming the new Hollywood, where just like mainstream media is in and anything else is out, and like you have to be on the right side or you're laughed at. And like we're ready to mock even devotees who have a different opinion, and it all has to be according to whatever Bill Nye says or something like that. I think it's concerning. I think a lot of people think it's concerning, but then you're in a modern ISKCON where, you're just...
Hare Krishna, can I give another example? I was going to give the fire example, but there's also another one. So earthquakes have been going on for a long time, obviously, correct? Yeah. But they've found out that that fracking can contribute to earthquakes.
Yeah.
So, there's a situation that it can be either one, where humans contribute to earthquakes, but earthquakes also happen on their own. Yeah. Same with forest fires, same with other things.
Yeah, I'm ready to grant that there's overlap, or that it's not always clear to us, like some of these things. But it just seems like the trend in some of these classes to practically speak of climate as if the devas are not involved, and it's not a matter of sinful activity beyond the sinful activity of not recycling, or beyond the sinful activity of not having like an electric car or something like that. Now we're just speaking left-wing politics, if we're just going to push that agenda, and not that if we were to follow all of the green initiatives. Like, well, maybe that's a question. Do you accept that if we were to follow all of the green initiatives that like left-wing politics in America push, or let's say, or whatever it is, but then you're still, taking part in abortion or whatever other things, or just being sinful, just being godless, would we not have the same amount of misery, like climate disaster, like basically the devas punishing us for not offering them anything, for not respecting them?
I don't know.
But we speak as if like the world is suffering. Why? Because they aren't like using renewable fuel or something like that. But they're suffering because of sinful activity. And to just say, well, this is also sinful activity, fine, but that doesn't seem like the way we're describing it. And then it seems like it seems like we can even convince ourselves that we're describing what's in Shastra, but we're not. We're describing basically what's being written on CNN in like an almost Shastric way.
Okay, I'll reconsider. But I have to think about it a little more. I don't think it's one or the other. I mean, there are obviously adidivic things that are happening.
Me too. I'm also, like I said, I'm ready to grant that.
Yeah.
But this commentary that, as if like there aren't adidivic miseries caused from humans being sinful, and not just sinful because they don't follow left-wing news and politics.
Okay. All right. All right. I have to think about it, but I withdraw my comment. But it certainly is. Climate has changed. There's no question about that. Since I've been here, I'm not. I mean, maybe
again, like we can go in circles. Like even this comment, like look, man, it's so hard. It's like, you know, you've all seen them long enough and everyone's boxed into a category of like some sort of like far right-wing like conspiracy theorist when they just say, like, when they just question a narrative, you know? You can't question a narrative without being put into a narrative, you know? So, like, just say the climate's changing, you know? They used to be like this, now it's like this. Therefore, clearly...
Yeah, I'm not making a conclusion. I'm just saying it has changed. Why has it changed? We're getting punished by the demigods. I don't know. Okay, we have someone in the back there.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
In the pastime of Hiranyaksha,
I'm sorry?
in the pastime of Hiranyaksha,
Hiranyaksha.
He was exploiting the resources of earth.
Yeah.
And there are some commentaries about Prabhupada said that whoever exploit resources of earth, bhumi, there will be consequences. That means same thing like we are, extracting, nowadays we're calling rare earth
Rare
mineral,
Rare
all
minerals.
our gadget and everything like that, and battery, car. Definitely there will be consequences because they are there for some reason, and we are creating a vacuum underneath the earth. That means each action has a reaction.
Yeah.
Is it by cause of the devas or human? I think it's a combination of both. Somebody trigger it, the deva react because they are here to punish us for exploiting nature.
At this point, I'm taking the fifth. I don't know if you know that phrase in America. It means I'm not making.
But yeah, we all agree on that part. Like Srila Prabhupada comments on Hiranyaksha, Srila Prabhupada talks about also other ways that even the earth in what, 4th canto or 6th canto, the earth is punishing the people for not so absolutely that's there. Just whether or not we've taken that and run with it to the point where we're betraying Shastra is the question that I'm having. Not that that's not a valid point for sure. Yeah.
Any comments abroad, in the ether, or locally? Okay. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.